is waiting. Let's get it on. It's all presented. All winter long.
I'm already recording, so that's dope. So I'll just quickly jump into this then, because I know that you want to cook food with your.
But no worries. I'm happy
Yeah.
to talk. So like no stress or rush. I was just going to try to be a little mindful because as we all know, time is so precious.
Yeah, it is.
Keeps
It's
going
crazy.
quicker.
Oh man, and speaking of time being so precious, well, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm a huge fan.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
I'm a big fan.
Your podcast show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Fuck, where were we gonna go? Oh, I went down this YouTube rabbit hole of just time and like black holes and stuff and perspectives on it. And it's really interesting when you think that some scientists believe that time is just more like humans comprehend it as being consistent, but the rest of the world may not. And then it kind of skews your vision of what time is when you think about it. Because some days I feel like go faster than others. I don't know.
Time is kind of an illusion. I think it
It
kind of has
is.
to do with our like state of mind, or I guess of course how busy we are or where we are.
I know. Do you feel like time goes really fast for you because you are so busy?
I feel like, yeah, I think so. I know people say when you get older, time goes by quicker. And then I realize, gosh darn it, I'm getting older. And yeah, it does go quick, but I try to just enjoy the ebb and flow of life. It's really slowed down the last few days here. I've just been chilling at my mom's farm in Vermont and kind of getting to like self restore after a pretty busy summer and getting on snow the last month. But yeah, it's crazy. We're all growing up, but no one's staying younger.
How was your trip to Europe to get some snow under your feet?
It was good. I think after last year with like COVID chaos, I really, really valued that time off and being able to do other things for myself. And it was the first year in many years that I didn't get on snow. And I felt so happy and restored. And when I went into the winter last year, I felt all fired up and really grateful to be able to travel again and get to do what I love. And I was stoked. I was riding good and I felt extra like remotivated. So this year I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to like definitely take all of the summer off, which I rode till like middle of May. And then, yeah, I took like June, July, August, and September off, and then just got on snow early October for a few weeks and definitely felt a little rusty, but I don't know. I have such a different approach to my snowboarding nowadays. I'm kind of okay with cruising at my own pace and not feeling a lot of pressure or expectation. So I didn't really do much over there. I just kind of like got comfortable on my board, and yeah, I was getting pretty fired up watching all the ladies like progress and kill it, but I was like, all right, it's okay. My motto this year is like progress in peace. Don't put all that like heat or fire on myself and just like take my time because it should be fun and enjoyable. And when I put too much pressure on myself, I usually get hurt or get stressed out, and I'm over that. It's been too many years. I just want to like enjoy the journey for the rest of my journey.
That's a good outlook to have, because I mean, I feel like a lot of really talented individuals who are amazing at their craft and that do it for such a long duration, at one point or another, they get slightly burnt out on the routine that they've once constructed for themselves. And then they're, going into their later years, they do like to take some time away from, whether it's, if they're a painter or someone who's, whatever, a musician or a snowboarder in your case. And they, you take those 4 months off in the summer and you come back and you get to look at it like with a fresh set of eyes. I think it helps people look at their craft differently and make it like relook at like, well, what am I doing? And is this what I want it to look like now? And I saw you just cruising that park, and yeah, maybe you weren't doing cab 12s and your cab 10s and stuff like that on repeat, but I know, you know, I saw the switchback ones and the fives and I was like, that looks good on you. And going like good kit, good style. And, you know, going into this, you know, more of a backcountry Jamie, I think that those simple things will look, they'll look so good on you. I mean, because you're really good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun, especially now with like, I don't know, I'm sure we all saw the clips from the legit stomping grounds. Like, it's kind of fucked up. Everyone is like tossing 18s and 16s, and even the girls with triple corks and 12s. I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, it almost makes me want to like take a step back and really work on more style and like different grabs and just enjoying what feels good for me, not trying to kind of do what everyone else is doing.
Totally. And I feel like following that mainstream narrative of just doing another 1800. I mean, that 15-year-old Japanese kid did all 14,
Taiga.
eight. Yeah. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I can't even comprehend that growing up and watching like X Games and Dew Tour when I was a kid, and people were doing like cab 9 to like frontside 7 to back 9. And it was like a big day. And now it's like they're incorporating two 900s together in the middle of their slope style run. And it's just getting really wild. And like, I'm glad that you're saying it here, because I think a large portion of my audience is just into flow and pow for themselves, doing the methods. I mean, of course, we all get juiced watching the contest tricks, but unless that gets done very tastefully, and there's a select few that have that, it kind of just looks like, you know, another thing that happened, which is weird that like you see somebody front board a kink rail, but if they do it a certain way, and then someone does an 1800, sometimes the front board on the kink rail holds more value to me as I'm scrolling through my phone. And I saw you do, there was one shot in particular, I think you did like a switchback 180, and the filmer was lower on the knuckle and you kind of flew into the lens. And I was like, I kind of enjoyed that a lot more than a lot of the doubles and stuff I saw. I thought the style was there, and it just, I appreciate that aspect of snowboarding a lot more. And I like that someone like you that's in a leader position is like, you know, instead of just trying to spin the extra 180, I'm just going to poke the grab a little crazier, which like I'm all for.
Yeah, shit is getting crazy. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where life is going or what direction, but I decided to just take it with an open heart and try to enjoy the journey. And it kind of just makes me feel a lot more like freedom and peace instead of like, I don't know, there were years in the past where like I kind of stopped really like loving snowboarding, and I felt like I just had to do all this shit to like continue being the best. And I like didn't even want to snowboard because I knew I like had to go try tens, and I was so afraid and couldn't eat in the morning and just wasn't
Wow.
really like happy. And of course there's like challenges we all go through, and you got to work through that like fear aspect and persevere through injuries and challenges. But I think learning to kind of like hone into yourself and like what gives you purpose and like how you want to portray your own style or your own lifestyle is, you know, we have the freedom to do what we want. And yeah, I'm still figuring it out. I can't even really do all the big tricks I want to do, but I know that I think like taking my time and really like trying to build a foundation feels good. Like I've never dabbled with like the trampoline training. I have gotten to hit an airbag a couple times, but it's very like limited because I don't really want that false sense of security. I want to like progress how all the homies used to back in the day, like work on your sevens once they feel really good and you have a good snap or takeoff, then like hold your grab, pull it in and go for your 10. But I see a lot of girls I compete with do so much airbagging that they get to snow and they kind of forget how to snowboard. Or, you know, there's so many variables with conditions or snow, weather, and I don't really like that false sense of security. I want to like feel good on my snowboard from the ground up. And then I hope in the long run, like when I do dial in my 9s and 10s and maybe beyond, I don't know yet, hopefully they'll just be like strong and at a good foundation.
I think that's a big reason why you're so strong at riding in the backcountry is because you haven't skipped the fundamentals. And being like a coach at camp like a decade ago, I had so many kids. I just want to get on the airbag and learn like a backflip or a cab 9. It's like you can't half cab off the roller. Like I get that you can ride off the jump switch, but why are you going to try a cab 9 when you don't have a half cab, cab 3, any of those tricks, switch backside 1, switch back 3. And when you skip those steps, it doesn't really transition well into other aspects of snowboarding, especially if you go from being like a park rider and that gets burnt out and you've always learned everything on airbags, taking that to the backcountry and having a back 10 double, like good luck. You want the switchback 1. you want the switchback 5 and the front side 7 because you're not going to want to go out there and try a back 10. Let me tell you, it's like different ball game. And when you do try the back 10, you're going to want to have the back 9 in case you lose the air awareness, or in case you over rotate, you can switch to a back 12 because you have all the fundamentals.
Exactly. It's hard to do though. I was like trying to make myself cab 180, the big jumps in Sauce Bay, and like a slow front one. And I was like,
well, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know about this, but that is all so good for you. We kind of forget because I'm like, I see all the girls that have been riding all year and Kokomo with her like steezy back 12. I'm like, all right, I need to get my backside spins. Like, fuck a back 5. I want to go like straight to back 10. And I haven't and I won't, but like we get caught up in maybe the ego side of it, or trying to like compare ourselves to our, I don't know, peers or competitors. And yeah, I've decided to just take it slow.
I
But
saw Mickle do a backside 9 indie there. I feel like that'd be a really hot trick for you. I feel like, you got those back 5 indies so well, and you could kind of double it a little flippy. And then instead of going back 10 like everybody else, I don't know how the point though, if they always want the extra rotation, or if you do a back 9 that's kind of unique with a little bit of a double roll and you poke your indie really crazy, is that going to score better? I don't know. I feel like the judging right now is truly about like the 18 over the 16. And it's like, they have to be. If I was a judge right now, I'd like to see the judging really go towards like really good style. Obviously, if the trick difficulty is way higher, I get scoring it, but you have to incorporate a slower spin with a better tweak now. Like that just has to be in there, I think. Like if someone's doing a tail grab and they're tweaking it out like insane, like that's worth way more than the mute or the indie roll like you've been practicing on the trampoline. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. I think style in my eyes will always win. But yeah, gosh, I know I want to do so many tricks. I like try not to get too caught up because I have a hard time even just dialing in the ones I know. But a back 9 would be dope. Back 9, cab double 10, switch back 9. Or
gotta love hearing that from
I don't
you.
know. I kind of want to double back rodeo, but I'm kind of scared. I don't really like that like upside down feeling. I'm definitely more of like, I don't know, I'm not like a flipper. I can't really do that shit. But and that's why I really like to see the courses changing, because I think some of the events that are seeing how crazy it's getting, like X Games last year, they kind of like made the progression slow down in a way of having like back-to-back quarter pipe hits where you couldn't really do double corks. Well, the boys were, but it kind of, I don't know, I feel like it brought it down a little bit and had people focus more on technical snowboarding and like learning to ride trannies, which is really, really hard. But yeah, I love that. And I hope to see the competitive side of snowboarding drift more in a creative direction and have unique features. And I don't know if you saw the Recharged event that Red Bull put on in Mammoth, but that was one of my favorite parks of the year. Like they had a little bit of everything, some rails, some quarter hits, a jump, and then like half pipe hits back to back and a hip. And I was like, this is so sick. Like everyone had such a hard time like getting a full pull. And I love it. I think it's fun and like a new good challenge.
I agree. I would love to see at X Games, the US Open's done now, but like, Dew Tour or the Olympics, a hip in the middle of the run that you could potentially maybe go over, but it's almost a little bit too poppy because it's built like a true hip. And
Yeah.
that would be nice to see because I really liked Red Gerard's frontside air for his Olympic run.
Oh, that's so sick.
It was like his indie poke over the
Yeah.
rail, like or frontside air is so sick. And I'm glad. I think the judges there scored him accordingly, and which was nice because I feel like it's a lot easier to do the, you know, I don't know, the spin tap the rail than, really catch a really good transition on a quarter pipe wall. As
Exactly.
most of us know,
Yeah.
especially when you're from Winnipeg and you didn't grow up riding transition. It's like, damn, like riding half pipes and quarter pipes is like a whole other league.
Seriously. And it shows. Like, I think a lot of the riders that like have that strength, like grew up riding pipe and such, like Judd and Red and even like Nick Baden. He's so good at riding transitions that you almost forget he used to like compete in the US Open and
Big
such.
time. I think that you could, another great name for that would be Arthur Longo. It's like he's one of the best ever at catching, small transition pockets that are out in the middle of nowhere. But he was one of the sickest half pipe riders, like way back in the day. Like he was amazing. Quarter pipe. I rode a hip with him like 10 years ago. Um, and he was doing switch backside rodeo 7 tail grabs on it. And he probably did it 10 times end to end. I was like, how do you do a switch backside rodeo 7 tail on a hip? And you have to go so fast and you have to keep your line straight. And it was getting really dark and we were hitting the wall that was losing sun the fastest. So it was getting shaded. So it was just turning into, and this more than anybody, once that wall loses light late in the year, it's just ice. And it's just like, he's just doing them over and over and over. And then at the very end, I was shooting with Scott Surface. He was like, hey, do you think you could just air over the whole thing and do an indie? He's like, okay. Just airs the whole thing. It was the sickest day ever.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love to take this back quickly. Childhood, what was it like for you? Most people know you grew up in Tahoe, but what was childhood like for Jamie?
My childhood was pretty great, a little bit crazy. I'm the fifth of 8 kids. My dad's from the Bay Area in California, and my mom is from Vermont. And my mom is a free spirit and decided to like road trip out to Cali in her 20s. She lived in Southern California for a while, and she always heard of Tahoe and wanted to go there. She met my dad there. They fell in love, started having babies, and it was honestly amazing. There were for sure some challenges growing up in a big family. We kind of grew up on one income. My dad was a firefighter and worked really hard. My mom was a stay at home mom, which I have infinite gratitude for. And she ran a lawn care business in the summer that my sisters and I helped her with. And I think from a young age, we always had everything we needed, but we weren't like at all spoiled. Like we had to hustle and work and save money, and we didn't have like allowances or things like that. We really like helped the house like stay together by like all doing our chores and working in the summer, saving money. When I was like 8 or 9, through my homeschool, they'd pay for like art, gymnastics, some of those like academics. And our coach at gymnastics had a daughter around mine and my sister's age, and she was also a coach at a mountain. And that's how we got introduced to snowboarding. My dad loved skiing, but having a big family, we couldn't quite afford like all the gear and passes. So for me, when I was 9, that's when I got my first hand-me-down, and I feel like snowboarding truly was my saving grace as a youngster. I was kind of, I don't know, I kind of had like a bit of a hard time growing up and like getting along with my family. I felt kind of like an outsider, and my sisters kind of had their crew. And I was such a tomboy. I hung out with all the boys in the neighborhood, but I didn't really feel like I belonged a lot. And I think when I got into snowboarding, that was like just something that I loved more than anything. And I remember going to the mountain every fucking day, 9 to 4, no matter what, barely eating lunch because I just wanted to ride the whole day and maybe get French fries for the bus home. But it was fun. And then, like, because I really wanted to pursue snowboarding, like all I wanted to do was travel and be a pro snowboarder. And I had Tara Takitis's poster on my wall and couple like skaters from the Vans events that I had, and I just wanted to like party and enjoy that culture. And never in a million years I'd think I am where I am after now, like kind of being on this snowboard tour for gosh, almost like 15 years. But I give a lot of it to my childhood and maybe it not always being perfect and everything all glamorous. Like shit was kind of hard a lot of times, and I had a lot of my own like um challenges with like ADHD and some mental health stuff and trying to like find my balance and my way through life. And I think exercise was key, and my mom was really healthy. We ate every meal at home and she had a garden, and I learned about like nutrition at a young age even though I didn't like it at the time. As I got older, I realized that food is medicine. And if I want to be a strong athlete or just a strong human, I had to be mindful of what I put in my body and drinking a lot of water and not just taking care of my physical health, but learning to take care of my mental health and find tools that could help me deal with some of the challenges along the way. I lost one of my best friends when I was 12 years old to a pretty sad like situation. He was a little bit older. He was 13, but he had been hanging out with older kids and he overdosed on a medication that his dad was taking for his cancer. And I think that really, really shook me at a young age. And I barely even could comprehend what death was. And I went to the funeral and it was like really kind of a monumental time of like never taking your life for granted and knowing that like one of your best friends could be there. And he was a really talented skier and like just such a light. Everyone loved him. He had such a good personality. And that was really hard for me, but it kind of reminded me no one knows how long we're here, and every day that we have is a blessing, and no one's guaranteed tomorrow. So living every day to the fullest and not letting fear or other things hold you back, I think gave me like a little spark, because around that time I was starting to make a little name for myself in snowboarding and I wanted to go to the X Games, which I somehow did when I was 13 for border cross. And my older sister was 16 and she went. We got to go together, which was really special. I didn't really like border cross, but it was kind of my gateway into that scene. I always really liked park and pipe. And then 2 years later, I qualified for slopestyle, which was when I got my first bronze medal with a front 180 stiffy on the money booter.
Yeah.
And yeah, that time I was like still pretty broke, didn't have sponsors. Like my family all road trip to Aspen. We squeezed like 10 of us into a 2-bedroom condo. But my parents always had like faith. We weren't like very religious, but we always had like a spiritual practice and always like prayed and gave thanks at dinner and would like pray for our loved ones. And I think that kind of just had me have faith on like life, like trusting that what's meant to be will be, but also like work towards your goals and believe in yourself. And yeah, I think I learned a lot through my childhood. And I reminisce now, I was like freaking selling golf balls at the golf course to like stack cash for the winter. And I don't know, I think not having like a lot made me work harder to like save money and appreciate all the opportunities that did come when like my home mountain Sierra at Tahoe helped my sisters and I to get on like the competitive team and helped us get to our first like USASA nationals, because all of that is really hard, it's expensive, especially if you have 8 freaking kids and 3 of us were competitive. But yeah, childhood was cool. I think I usually try to just like remember the good. Um, but there are times that were really hard, and I know that that helped me like become who I am today and become stronger from it. And yeah, still always learning. Definitely no saint, but trying to, I don't know, constantly evolve and learn how to be a better version of myself and learn from my mistakes or when I'm not my best self. Knowing we're human and we're all going through it together and trying to be good, but it's freaking mountains and valleys, this life, I tell you.
I love hearing that from you, someone who, you have 19 X Games medals, 2 Olympic golds, you're going for your third. It's like you're one of the best, if not, one of the best snowboarders ever. And I mean, and you have incredible style too, which is something that actually is really important to me. Normally, when you think of the best ever, you're like, they sacrificed everything. Someone like, Shaun White at the end of his career, I thought kind of sacrificed a lot of his style to win. But anyways, regardless of that, it's really inspiring to see where you came from and where you are. And I love your perspective on everything. You're like, fuck, shit, I don't have all the answers. I'm figuring it out too. But I know what makes me happy, and I know what makes me unhappy. And then I try and just move forward day to day based on the yin and yang of that. Like, all right, I don't like that, so I'm going to move away from that. I like this, so I'm going to keep moving in that direction. And that's, I mean, they say if you become 1% better every day, it's a drastic change over the course of your life. If every day you're just like, I'm going to try and be a little bit better. And I mean, clearly every day since you strapped into a snowboard, there was something in you that's like, I just want to be a little bit better at this activity that's giving me so much joy, especially when you said that there were some complicated issues that you grow up around. And then you find this thing, a snowboard, that's like magic. You know what I mean? To a kid, to me, to a lot of my friends who grew up, like, I was very fortunate to have an amazing, loving family, but a lot of my friends grew up with some really troubled backgrounds. And it's like, they just lived at the hill because it was like they would rather be there than be home. And it's like this, and because snowboarding's so much fun, it's like if you are going through a really difficult time in your life, the fact that when you strap into this board and you can just, all those things disappear. Like they just completely black out. But a question I had for you would be, when you first started, was it just easy for Jamie to snowboard, or, were you catching your edge and smacking your knees, or did it always come easy to you? Like to me, I just look at your career. I think we're relatively the same age, and it's like you've always been at the forefront of progression and in the spotlight since I was a young kid. And it's hard to me thinking that this was even hard for you. So was it?
Yes, it was really hard. I remember the very first time I snowboarded was behind a snowmobile in our backyard. My dad has always loved snowmobiling. And when my sister started, I was like, I want to snowboard, but I didn't have a pass and I didn't have boots and everything. So I used their gear that was way too big for me. And I'm like behind a snowmobile, like doing a loop in our yard. And it fucking was hard. Like, couldn't stand up. My feet were burning. Like, I was like, what is up? Like, I had like cross country skied or like done a little bit of like tobogganing. Like, we were big sledders. But it was really hard. And then when I got my first opportunity to go to Sierra, I went to this place called Wild Mountain. It's like the kid spot. And it was so hard. It took me a few days just to be able to like stop. I definitely hooked edges, and like I just remember thinking like, whoa, this sport is like so slippery. Like I thought you'd have a look, because I skateboarded. So I was like, it must be like skating. And it was really hard. And then as soon as I kind of got the hang of it and like went up the big chairlift, I remember like getting a little confident and like kind of mobbing down the mountain, and boom, like hook toes, face plant, broke the goggles I had. And I was kind of like humbled. I'm like, oh wow, like I gotta be careful and like kind of take my time. But it wasn't like, yeah, maybe a week later, I remember like cruising, and I was on like the junior team with like the youngsters, but I was always trying to like catch up with my older siblings. And I was really afraid of POW when I was young because Tahoe, as you know, used to get a lot of snow. We'd get like 5 feet overnight. And I had a couple scary POW days where I just felt like I got buried and suffocated, and obviously didn't have like the right gear. And then I remember like not wanting to ride POW for like that season. I was like, if all my sisters and friends are going in the trees, like I'm gonna go down Sugar and Spice like on the groomer, and like I'll meet you at the bottom, don't worry. But yeah, I was afraid. And even probably about 2 years later, when I was like 11, 12, that's when I started like hitting jumps. And I wanted to hit the big jump in the alley. And for some reason, I thought I had to go straight. And I overshot this jump so bad. And I had gotten my first concussion. And it was a really scary experience. I like had an out of body experience where I kind of saw the accident from a different place and was like knocked out for maybe 30 seconds. And it really shook me. After that, I was like, I don't think I want to hit jumps. Like, I don't want to hit jumps and go too big. I'm just going to like hit the little rails, and I'm going to ride pipe, and I'm going to do anything but that. And that was only at like 12. So I like stopped hitting jumps. I was really afraid. And then I'd kind of like alternate. Like 1 year I'd really like pipe, and like I learned a Mick twist and I was so hyped about it. And then the next year I was like sick of pipe. Maybe I decked out or something. I'm like, I'm going back to the jumps, and like learned a backflip, which was kind of the only time I've really done flips in my career. But like 12, 13, I was kind of famous at Sierra for doing backflips, which my older sister Stacy did really well. And she's kind of who inspired me. She's this beautiful blonde, has like hair to her waist, and just had the best style. And I really like followed her footsteps. Me and her both in the middle, but she's very quiet and gentle, and I was kind of a little bit more loud and outspoken. Um, but yeah, I just loved every part of it. And then eventually I got back into the POW and used to it, and that's when I learned the back rodeo into POW, because my coach was like, perfect, you want to learn a rodeo, like you need to hit this jump, go as fast as you can, and like pop, grab, and like look. And I remember being so afraid, but like back in the day, that's how we learned tricks, was like little POW poppers before I would take them to bigger jumps. And yeah, around that time I started like realizing how much I loved it. Like when I went to X Games at 13 for border cross, I snuck over to the slopestyle course because I had a credential, and I saw like Casanova and like T Rice and like all these legends. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna hit this jump. And I tried to hit one of the jumps in the course, and like I died. Like I probably came up like 15 feet short. Like I don't think I've ever hit a big professional jump, and I just like was on the knuckle. I'm like, okay, cool. Like people are landing and going straight, and I just like rolled in, and like I swear I landed like on the middle of the deck, and I was like, oh no, like this is gnarly. But gosh,
Oh my
2 years
God.
later I was back, and I had a spin slip style, and I was all fired up to just send it. I think it was with like Hannah Beeman. I think that year Jana Mayan won, Hannah got second, and I got third. And my mind was blown. I was so happy. And that's when I got my first sponsor, Billabong, and they were gonna help pay for me to travel and like give me a little allowance. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is so sick. Like, I'm going to have a sponsor. I might get to go to Japan next year. I like, my eyes were just like, I was so like, just so grateful. And I think that has carried me through all these years, like having a sincere appreciation for every opportunity and every challenge that has come. And yeah, huge appreciation to my family. I don't think I'd be where I am without their support and without kind of reminding me that like nothing comes for free. You got to kind of work and hustle and try to find ways to support your passion. And I think it made me really hungry to write resumes and like make little sponsor me videos. And yeah,
The
life is
hustle continues with Jamie Anderson. I love this story. This is sick. I
stop,
didn't
won't
know a lot of
stop.
this stuff and I'm fired up. I like your the cycle you were going through, like don't like pipe, onto jumps, don't like jumps, onto pow,
Right.
rails, jumps, pipe, and then it just made you into the like not knowing at the time that those little frustrations were actually making you to be one of the best, if not the best all-around snowboarder of all time. You know, you get lost in the sauce riding endless pow, which it seems like one time you almost drowned in and you're like, all right,
Like, no,
no go for Jamie. It's too deep. So sorry, you said that at 13, you snuck in. You're like, what's up, Mike Casanova? What's Travis Rice? Cool, I'm dropping in. Knuckle the jump. You're like, oh, this is social suicide. Come back the year after and then podium with Hannah Beeman and Jana Mayan.
It was 2 years later. I 13, I did border cross, and then at 14, I did border cross again. And when I was 15, I won the USASA Nationals Open division, and it was maybe going to be an invite. It wasn't a guaranteed invite, but they invited me, and I was like, "What up? Like, yes, this is
Yes.
time." And yeah, that first year at X Games that I competed in Park, I got a bronze medal.
Damn. And who would have been Jamie's young mentor in snowboarding?
Oh gosh. Well, I really loved like Travis Rice because I liked the films and I loved like his writing. I felt like he was pretty good at everything. And I really always liked Danny Davis and Scotty Lego. And for girls, I loved Tara Nikitas. I think I liked her like badass spirit. She had like the nose ring, which I eventually got shortly
Yeah.
after. And she had like the tattoos and she was just a badass. I remember going to meet her in Mammoth and she had this sick house and like I was just like, whoa, like you got this house from snowboarding? Like, no way. And I think she was like my hero, which was a little weird at the time because as I got older, she was kind of like not as much at her peak, which when I looked up to her forever, she was like the girl. And then she had so many injuries and some kind of like setbacks in her career. And that year that I got bronze, I think she like didn't do so good. And then the next year I won gold and it was kind of like gold from there on out. Not completely, but like definitely from like 17 on was kind of when I started like I won the open. I won one year I won all the opens around the world, Japan, Australia.
Well, take us through the first major win and what that experience was like for you.
The first win was and will always be like so special because my family has always been like my main support and my like foundation. Sorry, there's this fly fucking around. And my
I can't
sister
see it, but it's all good.
she was still competing in border cross and I got my invite for slopestyle. I got a bronze the year before and we were competing on the same day. And it was the first year my whole family made it out. My dad came, my mom, my entire gigantic family. And I competed first and I did a really good run and ended up winning and was pretty blown away. They like did the ceremony right off, like right at the bottom, but we didn't have time. Like my sister was competing 10 minutes later. So we rushed over to the border cross track and my sister won. And I was like, our whole family was ecstatic. Like it's still to this day, I think we're the only siblings that have ever won gold on the same day or same year. And I think just like the collective energy of our family and support and like the strong like crew we had, like it made it that much more special. And my other sister Stacy, who like so talented, but she was so shy. Like she never really wanted to compete or do photo shoots. She just wanted to snowboard because she loved it. Um, she was there with us and we ended up winning the like overall athlete award and we won a car. And my sister had a car. I wasn't allowed to get my license till I was 18 because my mom had some strict rules. And we ended up giving the car to my sister Stacy, and it was kind of like the three of us. We were called the three blondies, and it was kind of like that ebb and flow of like we worked together to get to where we were, and we kind of shared the success together. And that was like just so, it was so special. I'm still like, that's one of my favorite memories of snowboarding. And me and my sister have like our matching gold medals back in Tahoe when they still had like ribbons. And she won a couple of medals in her career before she went on to become a Chinese medicine doctor and acupuncturist. But yeah, my family has definitely always been like the backbone of my life, but also like supporting me in my career and having to miss out on so many like family things and school shenanigans. It was really cool to be able to experience that together, and knowing how like hard my parents worked to like help us get there and saved up money to get a tiny condo that we were all like packed into. It just kind of like, and then we won like, you know, back in the day, I think it was like 40 grand, 50 grand if you won. And we were both just like, what up? Like, we're not working this summer. Like, sorry, mom. Like,
No, what was your first job? You said something about golf balls, like selling golf balls or something like that.
I was always like, I've just always been trying to make money. I feel like my whole life I've been a hustler. But yeah, selling golf balls at like 10 or 12. We lived by a golf course and the river ran through it. So we'd go swim and I'd collect like all the Callaways, Pro V1s.
You're like, these ones are worth $2, these are worth $1. It's a big day today, big
polish
pull.
them up and sell them back to the golfers. And I had like a couple of my dad's firefighter buddies lived in the community, and I'd like go by their house and see if they needed any extra golf balls.
Going the extra mile. You're not even setting up like on the corner street, like, yo, do you guys need golf balls? You're going to golfers' houses being like, you need the Pro V1.
I'm
This is
like,
the best ball. This is the best ball there is, and it's 50% off today. I love the hustler. That's sick. I got a lot of respect for the maybe it's from growing up in Winnipeg, where I think a lot of people are just like, in order to make it, a lot of them come from not necessarily poverty, but not a lot of like wealth. So in order to like make things happen, you gotta hustle.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was a hustler. My dad was a huge hustler. My dad is the definition of a hustler for sure. And so I just love people who just like make shit happen. Like, you know, they're like, oh shit, like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I can't do it. It's like, well, maybe the can't needs to be switched to the classic can. It's so cheesy, but it's like serious. There's a way. So, you know, you win 19 X Games golds, 2 Olympic golds.
No, not golds, like 19 altogether medals. But
Whatever. We'll give them golds. There's so many of them. There's so many golds and silvers. If you melted them all together, the primary color that would come out would be gold.
Amen.
So what's going through your head when you're dropping into a slope style, a big air run? Like what's playing through Jamie's head?
All I do is win, win, win.
No way. You go full like T-Pain.
For me, gosh, I get really nervous, even still to this day after competing for so long. I for sure get the nerves. I think.
How do you calm those down? Like, how do you, when you're just dropping in, you're like,
you kind of gotta like, I think it's like good fuel. Like, I think the nervousness is such a similar feeling to excited that I kind of try to like talk myself out of the fear. And I think I've always had a lot of focus, and I just like visualize like what I'm going to do, how good it's going to feel. And like, I try to really believe in that emotion. And then I also am listening to music to kind of like, just like be present or like feel I don't know, excited. Like I like to dance a little bit, listen to some good hip hop, and kind of get in a clear headspace. But I think when I'm writing my best and like in my true like flow state or like present time consciousness, it's when I'm not thinking is when the magic happens. When like I let go of that expectation, I'll like definitely do my visualization and like know what I want to do and how it'll feel. But and then I kind of have to surrender, let go, and just go with the flow. And it's almost like I've had some experiences that feel like full on matrix. Like I know everything's going to connect even like before it connects.
That is sick.
It's hard. It
That's
doesn't
sick.
always happen, but
Like
like
flow state, and you're seeing the future, and the future is so positive that you're just like, it's gonna happen. Here I go. Cab 10. Perfect. I
like
already knew the cab 10 was gonna be perfect. That is sick. That's
like
dope.
last year at X Games was probably one of my favorite competitive memories because I hadn't done a front 10 or a cab 10 all year because I was so afraid to do it. And it takes like so much energy for me to like build up to do those bigger tricks. So like I didn't practice them at all. I did a lot of front sevens and a lot of cab sevens, and I knew exactly what my plan was, but I just like really focused mentally on it. And I spent a lot of time like in the pool and in the hot tub, just like being in water. And I was in a really good mental space, like taking care of myself, not like drinking or using any substances. I was just really like clear, and um, it all worked out. I don't know how. It was like a 50-50 chance that I was going to land.
If you ride pipe, you ride jumps, you ride POW, all those takeoffs, grade A, bluebird, hard takeoff, soft takeoff, you have all that variety. And then you do front sevens on all of that. To add the front 10 is a lot of mental energy, but really, that if you go a little bit faster, you hold your heel edge a little bit stronger and build up a bit more energy in the core, you're going to be able to do the front 10. Do you use visualization on and off the snow to get where you want in life? Do you use that off the snow? Like, I want to be successful. I want to have a house in Whistler. Like, did you manifest that future, or is it just a snowboard thing?
I think it works in all avenues of life for sure. Tyler was living in a pretty like ghetto apartment at Tamarisk for like 25, $3,000 a month with Mikey C. And when we first started dating, I was living with him there, and I was like, damn, like this place is expensive for nothing. And I've always loved real estate. I've put a lot of my assets into real estate, and I think it's the greatest thing for myself I could buy because I love to share it with my family and friends. But we talked so much about what we wanted our dream house to be, and it was pretty much a garage with a suite over it, and then like an income side of the house. And we like talked about it for probably 6 months, and we were just really in love and like talking about dreams and how sick it would be to buy a piece of land and then build something. And I came across the house that now I own, and it's fucked up how much it was like what we talked about for months on end. And at the time, it was like right before Vail bought Whistler, and prices were still high, like way higher than I thought. I didn't know if I'd get approved for a loan. I already had a couple mortgages, and I didn't know what it was like to buy in a different country, not as a citizen. But I would say we manifested the shit out of that house. And it was something that like collectively came together. And I love it. It's been so fun. And we've really like, it was pretty run down and beat up, but I love fixer uppers. I think it's really fun to like make something better than when you found it. And been in there for almost 6 years now, and I'm still in the suite, but I live like I have a place in Tahoe and this place in Vermont I spend time, and a place in Colorado that I spend time, but like vacation rent them all and try to like help my money make money.
Because if your money's not making money, then it's no good. Because inflation right now over the last 2 years has been like 15%. So if you have money sitting in the bank right now, you're getting screwed.
I know.
And I feel bad for people, especially a lot of old people that are just savers that are waiting for the perfect time to buy into the market. And you mentioned that the prices in Whistler were already so high that you're probably like, shit, like, am I buying at the top? Am I buying at the top? Well, my good friend Matt Belzil, who's obsessed with buying real estate, says there's a good time to buy right now and 10 years ago. As long as you're going to hold the property and you're not trying to flip it immediately, like especially in a place where it's like Whistler, location, location, location. Like that shit's not going anywhere. People are always going to think Whistler's beautiful. And unless the entire economy collapses, then we got bigger shit to fry and worry about anyway, because people are going to be, that would be just wild anyway. So you gotta get it. You got it. You did the place. You bought in Whistler.
Yeah. So I'm thankful. I do think that like having a open mind and having like positive thoughts and not wasting a lot of energy on what you don't want in life, really trying to channel your thoughts and your perspective on like what you want. I think it's real. I believe in all that like hippity dippity spiritual shit because I've seen it work for myself, for my family, for friends. When times have been really tough, there's always been like some type of higher power, I feel like, looking out for me, or something that I just at least have like faith, like something greater than myself. I'm not like, I don't know, like my family broke up, so we weren't able to go to church, and that kind of shifted my perspective on like Catholic and Christianity into like more just faith on something greater than myself, and learning more about the natives' ways of like connecting with nature and being in harmony with like, you know, all of the earth, the sun, the moon, the rain, just having appreciation for all those things, I find helps me feel good in each moment. And I'm always trying to learn more. I love all of it. I kind of have been reading about Buddhism and
Totally.
all the yoga.
They got it going on over there. I feel like every religion is amazing. Like every religion, most of them, the fundamentals are amazing. Like the principles, the values, the stories, like it's truly guiding people on how to be a good person through and through. Whether I don't believe in any specific religion, but I do have a lot of respect for a lot of the old ones that are around because they have the best principles. Like the core values of all of those religions are amazing. And if you follow a similar guideline to what they're all saying, you're going to live one fulfilling life.
Life is a gift. We got to find our own way to, I don't know, I think just be content and try to be happy and try to do good.
I don't have a specific religion, but I sure as hell think there's something else going on up there. I like to believe that anyway. It makes living on Earth kind of like more beautiful.
Good you do, the more good comes back around.
I'm going to boogie through a few more questions here because it's getting dark and I want you to be able to cook dinner with your mom because, you know, you set some time to go and hang out with your mom. And that's more important than being on a podcast.
Oh, I love it. I'm thankful. I don't do too many podcasts, so.
No, thanks for coming on.
I don't know why. I just always cancel. I like have all these high hopes, and then I'm like,
nah,
computer. I want to be outside lollygagging.
You came on. Thank you. All right. Okay. What would you rather win? Another Olympic gold or the natural selection?
Oh, obviously, Natty Select.
There we go. And why?
I guess because I've already won the Olympics a couple times. I don't know, actually. Winning the Olympics is pretty dope because of all the opportunity it brings and all the financial income it can bring is pretty clutch. But natural selection, I think, would be more special to win because it's so gangster. Like, just, I'm like still heartbroken that I blew it last year, but I'm also.
You didn't blow it. You didn't blow it. You just didn't happen.
I went way too big.
Yeah, but it wasn't like
way too small of a board and didn't write enough powder, la-di-da-di-da. But I think just, love Travis. I respect what he's doing for the sport. And I would love to see snowboarding shift into more creative outlets and not so much like hammer, hammer, hammer. And I would love to go ride Alaska. I'm pretty afraid of it still, even after the opportunity to go a few times. But I think it just shows your overall strength of being a snowboarder. And yeah, I hope to see that event just take off and grow in the years to come.
Same. Okay, we'll burn through these quicker now instead of me elaborating on my thoughts, because who cares about them? Okay.
I care.
What's your routine to stay on top of your game?
Oh, snap.
Do you want to tell us? You got to tell us.
I don't know,
What do you
girl.
mean you don't know?
No, I think self-care. I think when I take good care of myself, good things happen. And when I can I think self-care is the most important thing any of us can do, whether it's journaling or getting outside to spend time in nature, being around the people you love. Cooking food is really meditative to me. Just doing things that you know are good for you that maybe you don't want to do. Exercising. I worked out the first time yesterday, all year, and I was like, oh my God, working out is so hard, but it's good for you. But yeah, I think self-care is a huge part of my routine. And following your heart, not doing what everyone else is doing. I don't really like that mentality. I think doing what you want when you want is essential to your own well-being.
Diet. What do you eat? Keto, vegan? What do you do, Jamie? There's got to be something.
I eat everything. I've gone through all the phases. I've tried to go plant-based. I've tried a little bit of keto to get extra muscly. But I think it's okay for girls to have a little bit of extra weight. I don't think it's
me too.
Skin and bone. And I know it's really hard in our world with all the models and all the vanity things, but I don't know. I think a little bit of everything. I try to eat all as organic and clean as I can, and I try to support. My mom has a kick-ass garden here. We've been eating a lot of fresh produce, but I eat a little bit of fish. I eat a little bit of meat. Tyler hunts and we'll do wild game throughout the winter. I think also eating from inspiration, trying to quiet down enough to listen to your body. And of course, I have bad habits of sugar and fried foods and such, but sometimes I think you need it.
Okay, next question. How do you push through the worst of times?
I think just surrendering to the things that are out of your control when things happen, or maybe you don't act your best self, or you're frustrated at life, or life is mad at you. I think just forgiving yourself and moving on and trying to forgive everyone around you, at least for your own peace in your heart. And yeah, that's that.
Bucket list. Do you got one?
Skydive out of Tyler's plane.
Yes. With Tyler, or is he just gonna ghost it?
No, he'll land it for sure. And I would love to have I think big bucket list is learning to live more in harmony with nature and a more sustainable life. I want to still study architect and environmental sustainability. I think it'd be really, really cool to build my own homes and make them full circle so that they'll last forever for many generations to come. And I've been slowly doing that with my property in Whistler and my properties at home, just innovating them to be more off-grid and more sustainable, even if it's buying better, all your freaking, sorry, I can't even think right now, all your
totally buy shit or buy twice. You know what I mean? If you buy things
quality,
buy quality.
Invest in solar
it's worth
panels,
it.
invest in circular ways to save water and
Pots, pans.
Reduce.
I bought cheap pots and pans. It was the worst investment I've ever had. They all lasted me 1 year. They're all warped. The handles are broken. I'm never doing that again. I'm buying cast iron. Buying cast iron, and that's done.
Yep.
Advice you would give to the next generation?
Have fun, enjoy the journey, and don't be too hard on yourself.
That's really good. Whistler or Tahoe?
Whistler and Tahoe.
Yes. No, you got to pick one. Whistler's the best.
I think Whistler, just because of how dry California is. Shit is so sad. The fires are so sad how it's gotten, and just how dry, how real climate change is. I think some of the people that don't really believe in it are starting to realize that we can all be better. We can use less water. We can recycle more. We can try to have a less carbon footprint because, this is all of our homes. And I think we all want to enjoy clean water and clean air and, like screw conventional farming and GMO and all of those things that are just poisoning our home.
And I feel like if I'm speaking on your behalf here, but I feel like you've kind of found like your community in Whistler. I feel like you have a really great group of friends. I mean, a lot of them are my friends that I haven't seen for a while because I'm in Victoria, but like I see you up and you're hanging out with, Bushy and all these people and Callum and whoever else in Pemberton. And I'm like, man, you guys are having the time of your life. Float planes and boating and hanging out on different mountain peaks and going on cool river trips and stuff. I'm like, damn, like they're getting after it. So I feel like Whistler's been like a good adventure for you.
I think for sure. I find that, yeah, we have a great crew of people, like-minded souls, a couple really great couple friends, Mason D,
Oh
Soph and
yeah,
Mike,
totally.
Charles, Maria, Cody, Carissa. We've just been like kind of like the crazy couple cruise where we all just want to go adventure, go places to enjoy the beauty of where we live. We all like to party a bit and have fun, but we also like to cook insane food out of like Michael Chuck's garden or go jet boating. Snowmobiling was so fun last winter. But yeah, definitely thankful for the community of people. I think that's why I love Whistler even that much more.
Awesome.
People
Okay.
year round.
I won't ask you any more long questions. These are all just kind of one word answers and then we're done.
No
And then you
worries.
can enjoy a nice home cooked meal with your mother. Best style currently and back in the day.
Oh gosh, best style currently. Oh, I'm gonna say Nick Baden lately. I was
Nick Baden.
inspired on his writing this spring. And back in the day, oh fuck, I don't even know.
Sorry, this one sucks.
I know. Danny Davis, his style's timeless. He's still favorite now, but I'll put him in the back in the day too.
Yeah, big Danny Davis fan and Nick Baden fan. Those are amazing. Most underrated boarder.
Oh my God, there's so many underrated boarders.
I know.
I'd say all the Canadians. Feel bad, you guys. Some of them that are born on that side of the border just don't get the hype that the goddamn Americans do.
All right, first CD.
Eminem.
No way, the LP. That's wow.
I don't know why. Like my mom
Love
was
it.
pissed, but my brother got it for me when I was 13.
Love it. Favorite video part.
Oh gosh. Which part? I'm gonna have to say that's it, that's all. Like the whole like the friend segment with like Scotty and Mick, like the whole crew. I don't know where they were. I think maybe BC, but
I think they were in Colorado, but yes, I had Scotty Longo on the podcast not too long
maybe
ago.
Jackson Hole with the
Yeah.
jumps and the trees, like just so sick.
Totally. What's your perfect day snowboarding look like?
Perfect day snowboarding, probably a Bluebird Pow day and Whistler with the homies, no filming, just fun shredding.
Sick. Biggest pet peeve.
Other
than people asking you to do podcasts.
I think when people talk shit over it.
Love it. Simple and everybody can agree. If you talking shit, zip it. All right, if you won the lottery, what would you do with it? What's the first thing you would do with it? Sorry.
I would set my parents up so they don't have to stress any money ever. And then I donate a lot to charities.
That's perfect. Career highlight.
I don't know. Maybe maybe winning the second Olympics was pretty surreal.
All right, the last question. Who is the GOAT?
Who is the GOAT?
other than you?
Oh gosh. T. Rice for everything he's doing now for snowboarding. Much appreciation, past, present, and future.
Hard to not say him. Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I don't want to take any more time. Everybody would love a home cooked meal with their mother, so I'll let you get after that. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm a huge fan. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm excited to see you again at Natural Selection. I'm assuming you will be there, and I cannot wait to watch you ride the backcountry for years to come because I love watching you snowboard.
Thanks, Jody. Big fan of you, and thanks for having me on the show. All
Totally.
my love. And
Totally.
let's hang out when I'm back in BC.
Will do. Looking
Probably
forward
won't
to
be
seeing
for a
you.
while, but
Yeah, we'll meet at Cody's house for some for some shrimp. All right.
sounds good. Say hi to Chels.
One job is waiting. Let's get it on.